Hello dear children, welcome back. I'm Dr. Jisha Jo. In this video, we shall be studying the structure of the plasma membrane and the functions of the plasma membrane. Coming to the cell membrane, we know cell membrane is the outer limiting membrane in animal cell. It is the outermost layer in the animal cell, whereas in the case of plant cell, it is the layer inner to the cell wall. So in animal cell, it is the outer limiting membrane or the outer boundary membrane, outer limiting membrane in animal cells, and in plant cells it is the layer inner to the cell wall. Now another important feature of the cell membrane or the plasma membrane is that it is a selectively permeable membrane. It is a selectively permeable membrane. We have seen that cell wall is a freely permeable membrane. It allows a movement of any molecules through it, whereas plasma membrane or cell membrane is a selectively permeable membrane. That means it allows only selected molecules to pass through it. Another important feature or important character of the plasma membrane is that the plasma membrane is composed of lipids, proteins, and oligosaccharides. So these are the constituents or components of the plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is composed of lipids, proteins, and oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides are carbohydrate molecules with relatively small number of monosaccharide units. Oligosaccharides are carbohydrate molecules with relatively less number or small number of monosaccharide units. So these are the important features to be remembered. Plasma membrane is the outer limiting membrane in animal cell, and it is the layer inner to the cell wall in the case of plant cell. It is a selectively permeable membrane. That means it allows only selected molecules to pass through it. It is composed of proteins, lipids, and oligosaccharides. Another important point, it is a living membrane. Plasma membrane is a living membrane. So we have seen what are oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides are carbohydrates with less or small number of monosaccharide units. Now the lipids in plasma membrane are the phospholipids. The class of lipids that you see in the plasma membrane is called as the phospholipids. And the phospholipids that are derived from glycerol are called as phosphoglycerides. Phosphoglycerides are the phospholipids that are derived from glycerol. So the main lipid component or the lipid constituent in the plasma membrane are the phosphoglycerides. Okay, so once again, plasma membrane is the outer limiting membrane in animal cell. It is the layer inner to the plant's cell wall in the case of plant cell. It is a selectively permeable membrane. It is composed of lipids, proteins, and oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides are carbohydrates molecules having a relatively small number of monosaccharide units. It is a living membrane, and the lipid component in the plasma membrane is phospholipids, and the phospholipids that are derived from glycerol are called phosphoglycerides. So the lipid constituent in plasma membrane is the phosphoglycerides. Okay, the class of lipids in plasma membrane is the phospholipids, and the phospholipids in plasma membrane is phosphoglycerides. Most widely accepted model of the plasma membrane is the fluid mosaic model. Fluid mosaic model, and it was proposed by Singer and Nicholson. So this model of the plasma membrane is the most widely accepted model, which is called as the fluid mosaic model, and this model was proposed by two persons, Singer and Nicholson, in 1972. Okay, according to this model, from the term itself we can see the plasma membrane has a fluid nature. It has a fluid nature, and this fluid nature is due to the presence of phospholipids in it. We have seen the plasma membrane is composed of phospholipids, proteins, carbohydrates, etc., especially oligosaccharides, and the fluid nature of the plasma membrane is due to the presence of phospholipids in it. And it has a mosaic appearance. The mosaic appearance of plasma membrane is due to the presence of the components like the proteins, carbohydrates, and phospholipids, as well as cholesterol in the plasma membrane. So according to this model, plasma membrane has a fluid nature and it has a mosaic appearance. The fluid nature is due to the presence of phospholipids, and the mosaic nature is due to the components that are present in plasma membrane, which include the phospholipids, the proteins, the oligosaccharides, and even cholesterol. Now coming to the structure, how does this model look like? So according to this model, the phospholipid, that is the lipid component we have seen, it is the phosphoglycerides. The class of lipids is the phospholipids. These phospholipids form a bilayer. A bilayer of phospholipids is present. Bilayer of phospholipids is present according to this model. So that is what I am going to draw. That is the bilayer of phospholipids, and you can see it has a head and a tail region. The head is the polar head, which is the hydrophilic region. Hydrophilic or polar head. Hydrophilic or polar head. Polar head region, and there is a tail which is the hydrophobic tail. Hydrophobic tail or the non-polar tail. So these two layers together form the bilayer, phospholipid bilayer. So according to the fluid mosaic model, the phospholipids form a bilayer with the hydrophilic heads directed outwards or pointing outwards, and the hydrophobic or the non-polar tails directed inwards. Now there are two types of proteins present in the plasma membrane. Okay, two types of proteins are there. Proteins are of two types. They are the integral or the intrinsic proteins and the peripheral or the extrinsic protein. Okay, there are two types of proteins. They are the integral proteins or intrinsic proteins, and the second type is the extrinsic or the peripheral proteins. And this classification of the proteins is based on the ease of extraction. Intrinsic proteins, as the term indicates, they are embedded in the phospholipid bilayer. It is difficult to extract intrinsic proteins, whereas when we come to extrinsic proteins, they are peripheral proteins. They can be easily extracted from the phospholipid bilayer. Okay, so based on the ease of extraction, proteins are of two types: intrinsic proteins and extrinsic proteins. So we are going to draw the intrinsic proteins there. Intrinsic proteins. Okay, so you can see the ones that are marked in red, they are the intrinsic proteins or the integral proteins. You can see that the integral proteins or intrinsic proteins are embedded inside the phospholipid bilayer. As you can see, they are embedded in the phospholipid bilayer. And again, the extrinsic proteins are located on the periphery, on the sides of the phospholipid bilayer. Okay, now if you look at the integral proteins, you can see that the integral proteins are again classified or are of two types. Okay, you can see that certain integral proteins, you can see that they traverse the entire width of the plasma membrane. Such type of integral proteins are called as the transmembrane proteins or the tunnel proteins. Okay, whereas you can see certain smaller proteins there with only one surface exposed. So integral proteins or intrinsic proteins are again classified into two. They are the small integral proteins and the large globular proteins. Large globular proteins. Large globular proteins are otherwise called as the tunnel proteins or transmembrane proteins. Transmembrane proteins. So I hope that is clear. So once again, there are two types of proteins. Which are the two types of proteins? Intrinsic or integral proteins and the extrinsic or peripheral proteins. This classification of proteins is based on the ease of extraction of proteins. Intrinsic proteins are difficult to be extracted because they are deeply embedded inside the phospholipid bilayer, whereas extrinsic proteins are easy to be extracted because they are seen towards the periphery or on the sides of the phospholipid bilayer. Again, if you look, the intrinsic proteins which I have marked in red color, they are the intrinsic proteins are of two types, the small integral proteins and the large globular proteins. And the small intrinsic or integral proteins, you can see they are embedded in the phospholipid bilayer with one of the surfaces exposed. Okay, one surface is exposed. The rest of the protein is embedded in the phospholipid bilayer. Whereas the second type of intrinsic protein is the large protein which are seen traversing the entire width of the plasma membrane. They are called as the tunnel proteins or the transmembrane proteins. So that is the arrangement of phospholipids. Phospholipid forms a bilayer. Then there are two types of proteins, the intrinsic proteins and the extrinsic proteins. Now, as you can see here, the green colored things that I have marked here forms the extrinsic protein. The green color shows the extrinsic or peripheral proteins. Another constituent of the plasma membrane we have seen, they are the oligosaccharides. Okay, we have seen what are oligosaccharides. Before that, I forgot to tell about this function. The small integral proteins give stability to the phospholipid bilayer. The small proteins give stability to the phospholipid bilayer, whereas the tunnel proteins or the transmembrane proteins are concerned with the transportation of substances through the phospholipid bilayer. They provide selective permeability to the plasma membrane. Selective permeability to the plasma membrane is provided by the tunnel proteins or transmembrane proteins. Now we have come to the third component, that is the oligosaccharides. We have seen that oligosaccharides are carbohydrates having relatively small number of monosaccharide units. These oligosaccharides can be seen attached to the lipids. Okay, they may be seen attached to the lipids, as you can see here, or they may be attached to the proteins. Okay. So oligosaccharides, these which I have marked in blue are the oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides may be seen attached to the lipids or to the proteins. So when oligosaccharides are attached to the lipids, they are called as glycolipids. Okay, when they are attached to the lipids, they are called as glycolipids. Glycolipids. When the oligosaccharides are attached to the proteins, they are called as glycoproteins. Okay, so that is with regard to the arrangement of the components of the plasma membrane according to the fluid mosaic model. Once again, the fluid mosaic model was proposed by Singer and Nicholson in 1972. According to this model, the plasma membrane has a fluid nature. It is a quasi-fluid in nature, and this nature of the plasma membrane is due to the presence of phospholipids. Okay, and this nature is due to the presence of phospholipids, and this nature of the plasma membrane enables the movement of proteins, lateral movement of proteins within the phospholipid bilayer. So that is the fluid nature. Okay, the fluid nature is due to the presence of phospholipids, and this nature of the plasma membrane helps the lateral movement of the protein molecules within the phospholipid bilayer. And the mosaic appearance of the plasma membrane is due to the presence of the phospholipids, the proteins, the oligosaccharides, cholesterol, etc. Now coming to the detailed analysis or study of the fluid mosaic model, we have seen that the phospholipids, which are mostly phosphoglycerides, they form a phospholipid bilayer, a bilayer of phospholipids you can see, with the hydrophilic or the polar heads directed outwards and the hydrophobic or the non-polar tails facing inwards. There are two types of proteins, the intrinsic proteins or the integral proteins, and the extrinsic proteins or the peripheral proteins. Intrinsic proteins are embedded within the phospholipid bilayer, whereas the extrinsic proteins are seen towards the periphery. This classification of proteins is based on the ease of extraction of the proteins. Now, integral proteins or intrinsic proteins are again classified into two: small integral proteins and large globular proteins. Small integral proteins are seen embedded in the phospholipid bilayer with one of its surface exposed. Okay, whereas the large globular proteins are otherwise called as the tunnel proteins or the transmembrane proteins. You can see these proteins traverse the entire width of the plasma membrane. And the function of the small integral proteins is to provide stability to the plasma membrane, and the tunnel proteins or the transmembrane proteins provides selective permeability to the plasma membrane. Then coming to the next component, they are the oligosaccharides. These oligosaccharides, when they are seen attached to the proteins, they are called as the glycoproteins, and when they are attached or seen attached with the lipids, they are called as glycolipids. Now, the presence of oligosaccharides on the cell membrane helps the cell membrane in cell recognition, the recognition of cell, and also it acts as receptor proteins or cell receptors, which help in binding with specific molecules that reach the surface of the cell, allowing the flow of information or materials into the cell. And also the oligosaccharides present on the cell membrane, on the plasma membrane, act as drug receptors. So oligosaccharides function as cell receptor proteins. They help in cell recognition. They act as receptor proteins and help in binding with specific molecules reaching the surface of the cell, allowing the flow of information or materials into the cell, and also they act as drug receptors. Okay, so this is the fluid mosaic model according to Singer and Nicholson, and as I told you, the quasi-fluid nature of the plasma membrane is due to the presence of phospholipids in it, and this allows this special nature of the plasma membrane allows the lateral movement of the protein molecules can move laterally within the phospholipid bilayer. Okay, now the quasi-fluid nature of the plasma membrane enables the cell in its growth, helps in secretion, helps in endocytosis, cell division, as well as in the formation of intercellular junctions. Now moving on to the functions of plasma membrane, we have seen that plasma membrane is a selectively permeable membrane. It allows the transport of selected molecules into and out of the cell. There are different ways of this transport of substances occurring through the plasma membrane. The first type of transport is passive transport. Molecules move passively. Passively means molecules move from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration without the expenditure of energy. That is why it is called as passive transport. Molecules move from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration without the expenditure of energy. So many molecules pass through the cell membrane by passive transport. The second type of movement of molecules is by simple diffusion. Simple diffusion is also a type of passive movement. Simple diffusion. Here also the molecules move from a region of their higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Simple diffusion takes place in the case of neutral solutes. Neutral solutes move by the process of simple diffusion. Okay, simple diffusion is also a type of passive movement where the molecules move from a region of their higher concentration to the region of their lower concentration without energy expenditure or without the use of energy. The next type of movement is osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a region of their higher concentration to a region of their lower concentration through the plasma membrane. That is osmosis. So osmosis is the movement of water molecules. Water molecules move from a region of their higher concentration to a region of their lower concentration through the plasma membrane. That is the third type of transport occurring through the plasma membrane. The next type is active transport. Active transport. As the term indicates, it is an active process. Active transport requires energy. It uses energy in the form of ATP. And here, when does it require energy? When molecules move from a region of their low concentration to a region of their high concentration. So, it requires energy. It takes place actively. That is why it is called as active transport. So, transportation of molecules occur from a region of their lower concentration to a region of their higher concentration with the utilization of energy. That is what is meant by active transport. Example is the sodium-potassium pump. Sodium-potassium pump is an example of active transport taking place through the plasma membrane. Another type of transport occurring is facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion. Okay, so in facilitated diffusion, we can see that we have studied the structure of the plasma membrane and substances that are soluble in lipids Okay, substances that are soluble in lipids can easily pass through the plasma membrane, whereas those substances that are insoluble in lipids, it is difficult for such substances to pass through the phospholipid bilayer. We have seen the structure, the phospholipids forming a bilayer with the hydrophilic heads pointing or facing outwards and the hydrophobic tails directed inwards. So lipid soluble substances that are soluble in lipids can easily pass through the plasma membrane, while those substances which are not soluble in lipids are difficult to be passed through the plasma membrane. So in such cases, the transport of such substances or such molecules is facilitated by special proteins that are present in the plasma membrane, as we have seen the tunnel proteins or the transmembrane proteins. So certain special proteins are present on the plasma membrane which helps in the diffusion of such or movement of such substances. Okay, this type of transport of substances through special protein channels is called as facilitated diffusion. So it is diffusion. So as it is diffusion, it does not require energy. No energy is required, and the molecules move along the concentration gradient, that is from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. But here special protein channels are needed for the transportation of molecules. That is facilitated diffusion. Now facilitated diffusion, in certain cases, some of the protein channels allow diffusion only if two types of molecules are present. So only if two types of molecules are present, certain protein channels allow the diffusion of substances. So accordingly, facilitated diffusion is of three types. Okay, so first one is symport. First is symport. Second is antiport, and third is uniport. So substances can pass through the membrane by facilitated diffusion only if two molecules are present. That is, the protein channels will allow diffusion only if two substances or two types of molecules are present. So accordingly, facilitated diffusion is of three types: symport, antiport and uniport. According to symport, the two molecules are present. As I told you, the two molecules move along the same direction, move in the same direction along the plasma membrane. So the two molecules, that is the plasma membrane, if that is the protein channel, then both the molecules move in the same direction. That is symport. Okay, movement of both the molecules occur in the same direction. Now when we come to antiport, the molecules move in opposite direction. Okay, so we can see the protein channel, and if one molecule move in this direction, the other molecule will move in this direction. So the molecules move in opposite directions. That is antiport. Okay, so in symport, the direction or the movement of molecules occur in the same direction, whereas in antiport, the movement of molecules occur in opposite directions. When we come to uniport, the molecules move across the membrane independent of the other molecule. Whether a molecule moves across the plasma membrane independent of the movement of the other molecule. Whether the other molecule moves into the cell or towards outside, it doesn't matter. It is not dependent upon the movement of the second molecule. It is independent of the movement of the other molecule. That is uniport. Okay, so these are the three types of facilitated diffusion. So now once again, The plasma membrane, as we know, it is a selectively permeable membrane. So the function of the plasma membrane is to allow selected molecules to pass into the cell or towards the outside. So this transport of substances into or outside the cell occurs in different ways. The first one is passive transport, where movement of molecules occur from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration without the expenditure of energy. So movement occurs along the concentration gradient, no energy is involved. The second type of the transport occurs by simple diffusion. Here also the movement occurs along the concentration gradient from higher concentration to lower concentration, and this type of movement occurs in the case of neutral solutes. Coming to the third type of transport, that is osmosis. It is the movement of water molecules from a region of their higher concentration to a region of their lower concentration across the plasma membrane. The fourth type of movement is the active transport. As the name indicates, it is an active process. It is an energy consuming process. It requires energy in the form of ATP, and so the movement of molecules occur against the concentration gradient, that is from the lower concentration to a region of their higher concentration. Okay, so since it requires energy, it is called as active transport, and movement of molecules occurs against the concentration gradient. Potassium sodium pump is an example of active transport. The fifth type of transport is the facilitated diffusion. As I told you, substances that are soluble in lipids can easily pass through the plasma membrane, whereas substances which are insoluble in lipids cannot pass so easily through the plasma membrane. Their transport is facilitated by carrier proteins that are present on the plasma membrane. Okay, so such type of diffusion. So since it is a type of diffusion, it is occurring along the concentration gradient, no ATP is required. And here two molecules are involved. The movement of two molecules take place here, and accordingly facilitated diffusion is of three types: symport, antiport and uniport. And symport movement, the molecules move in the same direction. Antiport, the two molecules move in opposite direction. If one is moving inwards, the other molecule move in the other direction towards outside. Then uniport, the movement of molecules is independent to each other. Molecules move across the membrane independent of the other molecule. So these are the three types of facilitated diffusion. So in this video, we have discussed about the fluid mosaic model of the plasma membrane. We have also discussed about the functions of the plasma membrane. So I hope whatever we have discussed in this session is clear to you. If you have any doubts or suggestions, please ask your doubts and give your suggestions in the comment section. Thank you.